about ma'am and how she is and what she does. So, Jaya is a mechanical engineer by education with a successful career in technical sales and marketing. However, her profound connection to spirituality and deeply positive outlook truly defines her. So, she's a skilled astrologer as well. And she has, spent a lot of years in studying cosmos and gaining insights and reached her understanding about life's mysteries. So, we are going to talk, we are going to have a talk with a person who is spiritual as well as very technical as well. So, I believe this is going to be a very amazing and interesting conversation. And we are going to talk about her book that is today's I mean that will make today's interview very, very interesting. So, ma'am, I really welcome you to this conversation. I hope you are doing really well, and we are very happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, I hope this is a like very, beautiful feeling as well as exciting, nervous. You might be little nervous as well. And I must say, you have kept your book name, that is Soul Without Borders, very beautifully. And before going into much about this
Thank you.
story, I just want you to reflect a little on your journey, how it has been writing this book, and just as an author, how do you feel about it?
As an author, I'll tell you, as an astrologer, I did predict a very long back, like in 2013, that maybe
Right.
one day I'll write a book. And I was nowhere close to writing anything. So, yeah, after 10 years, it happened. So it was like this was predicted long back, seeing my own chart. I was
Hmm.
laughing and said, it looks like, one day I'll write a book. And
Right.
according to the time period and all, I predicted for myself, and it actually came true. So yeah.
Like, have you, as a astrologer, I believe we believe in manifestations. Have you ever manifested that, like, you will write a book by your own?
uh, I do believe in manifestation, but I also believe whatever the universe has written for me is the best for me.
Hmm.
So I am that kind of a child who will not be, asking the universe for something that I maybe don't deserve, or I have not planned to enjoy in this life.
Hmm.
We all write our own life stories when we come here. If you read
Okay.
into different books, like if you go into, there's a very interesting book which I read recently. I lost my mother, and after that, I this book came across to me. It's called The Laws of the Spirit World.
Hmm.
It's a very interesting book. If you get to it, please read it. And it really helped me come out of that depression that I was facing when my mother passed away. When you are without parents, it's a very different feeling,
Hmm.
right? So that book, I learned that we all decide our own destinies before coming back. And I was a very spiritual person right from childhood. Like when I was 10 years old, I think my spiritual journey started like I was like 9 or 10 years old.
Hmm.
So I have never wanted anything that did not come my way. I
Hmm.
always believed that whatever came my way, something that I deserved. I
Right.
lost my father just 7 days before my marriage. I never blamed God for that. It was the biggest day of my life, and I lost my the most important person of my life just 7 days before the marriage. So the marriage was more about, you can understand what was the atmosphere in the house. You are
Hmm.
getting married, and you are not even out of the shock. But I never blamed, because I believe that it it was my karma, not in this life, maybe in past life somewhere. This was something I had to pay off. I had to go through this pain, and I went through it. So I don't believe in manifestation, because I believe if you ask something that you don't deserve, you will have to
Hmm.
pay back in some other form.
Right.
So I believe whatever God is sending my way is the best thing, and I go with it. That's
I
my
mean,
belief. My belief system.
yeah.
System.
Yeah. I mean, that's very beautiful, and I think that's very reasonable as well. The things you have said, and like you shared about your spiritual journey, that you started this journey from a very young age, and that's understandable. I would like you to know, like, how did you come across such a beautiful title, like Soul Without Borders? That's very creative, as well as, I mean, that's very beautiful, impeccable. I mean, I haven't come across such names in a while. I have gone through few books, but yeah, that's really pretty. I just want to know, how did you come up with this name?
So Soul Without Borders came to me, and actually the message I want to give by this title is
Hmm.
that soul doesn't have any kind of boundaries,
Hmm.
no religious boundaries, and no geographical boundaries.
Hmm.
Soul, when it comes, it's just a soul. And if there was a difference in creation, or there was a difference between, different geographical locations or different religions, there must be some kind of change in the
Hmm.
human anatomy. Something must have changed. We are not same as birds or dogs, we are different, right? So
Right.
if we are humans, we come as humans. We all are born in hospitals by the doctors, or in homes, and by the same process. And then when we die, why the different process?
Hmm.
What changes in between? We all are dying, we all are, the heart stops and we stop taking oxygen. It's a mechanical process. And all the human beings, whether it's Indian or it's an African or it's American or a British, anybody, we all live the same kind of life. The body is a machinery. So
Hmm.
soul is not coming with any boundaries. Why are we creating those boundaries? That
Right.
is the purpose of telling that, the soul doesn't have any boundaries. So let us not see people by boundaries.
Right. So, I mean, how did you curated this story, that story of a young girl, who embarks on a new journey of survival and self-discovery? So, do you also feel this is something really connected to you? I mean, or how did you come up with this idea of writing this book?
The interesting part is I've never been to Amritsar. I've never been to the Atari border.
Hmm.
But in 2014, I went to a place called Firozpur.
Hmm.
Okay, and one of my knowns, they are in defense. So they said, okay, you have never seen the retreat ceremony. So there's a small ceremony that happens near the Firozpur border. So let me take you there. So we all went there, me, my mother, my sister, we all were there, right? And it's a very small ceremony. It's not like the big one in Baga border. So you
Hmm.
are it's smaller than a football court. So it was a very nice feeling because, India and Pakistan, the way we see each other and the way the things are in the mind, when you see the Pakistani border and you're just sitting just next to the Pakistani border, you're not like, it's not a distance any, it's very, very small and a very compact kind of a ceremony that happens there.
Hmm.
So I was there, and I was enjoying the all the national songs that were on this side of the border, and then the national songs on the other side of the border. But one thing which I could clearly see was the difference in the society. Because on the Indian side, you know how Punjabi ladies are, they see the Bhangra, the moment the Bhangra music is there, they are enlightened, they're dancing and enjoying themselves. And on the other side, there was a distinct, the men on one side, the females on the other side. And I don't think there was even one female who was not wearing the burqa. Everybody was covered. So I was just sitting and just watching that, like a few years back, we were all same. There was no border, right? And then there was a little girl, and she was wearing hijab, but her face was not covered. And I think she was 5 years old. So whenever this dhol used to happen on the Indian side, she used to just leave her mother's hand and run towards the border. And she really enjoyed that beat. God bless that girl wherever she is. I mean, she might not even know that she inspired me to write this story. So when I was seeing that girl to dance, and then her mother would come up and then just pull her back. And again, when the dole used to start, she used to just leave her mother's hand and again rush to the border side to enjoy the dole. So I remember her face till today. And that day, the story came up in my mind that what happens if this girl somehow manages to come on the side and enjoy what these ladies are enjoying. So, what will be her life like? So, the theme of the story came to me in 2014. This incident, and I still remember that girl. The little, I think now she must be 15, 16 years old. God bless her. Maybe may she get all the chance to dance around the world. But yes, she was an inspiration to me. Those eyes, I cannot forget it. The excitement in the eyes that she was feeling when the music was going. So, and after my mother passed away this year, I was like really broken. So to just distract myself from this, I thought, why not start writing what I had thought like long back. And I was into creative writing. I used to write a lot. I used to write poems. So you can see that in my writing also, you will see a little bit of rhythm. That's because I have been into poems and all. So it started like that.
Sorry. I'm just feeling a little overwhelmed. The way you have explained the story is really beautiful. I mean, sometimes I actually believe something happens in our life. At that time, that might not seem very important to us, very significant in our life. But randomly, we will remember that incident one day and we just feel like that was something special or something that is very unusual or that, just stuck in our mind. So I think that's a very beautiful story you created. So, Jaya, I would also like to know, as an author, when you started this journey, as you said, you wanted to distract yourself from the pain of losing your mother or the, existing things. So, what were the challenges you came across as an author? Like, I believe this might be your first book, right? That you have published so far.
Yeah.
And so, what were the challenges that you faced as an author?
The first challenge was self belief that, the story is going good and maybe people will like it. So when once I wrote the entire thing, I think I was on the fifth or sixth chapter. I sent it to my sister and I asked her to read it and tell me how she feels it. So she really liked it. And she said, no, go ahead and just read it. You try to write the entire thing again. So I wrote the remaining chapters, and once I finished everything, I sent it to one of my very close friends. You can't send the manuscript to everyone, so you can send it to
Mm.
only people you really trust. So I sent this manuscript to one of my friends, and I asked her, "Tell me honestly, should I go for, is it worth actually getting it published, or it's just like any other story?" But she really liked it, and she said, "You must go and get it published." And my sister had the same opinion. So good or bad, it's on them.
Yes. And I believe as this is like your first book, whatever we create first is very special to us. So whenever you write this book and give it to the world to see it or read it, they might have different opinions about it, different views about it. And do you also feel very, affected by their views, or like somewhere you are very nervous, or like, I mean, very conscious about it that people will someday make a very negative remark or like very critical feedbacks on this? Like, how do you perceive that?
You're right, it was there. And being a first time writer, of course, it was there in my mind. And especially because the book is touches the topic of religion and spiritualism, which is a very, a topic which can really ignite some people. So, yeah, I was worried about it a bit. But then again, as I say, and I believe this, that I don't do things, universe make me do it. And this book also, I believe, is, I don't believe it's my art or, my talent that this book has come out. I think it's a message that is being given through me. So that is my belief. And when I have that belief in me, I develop that belief in me, then it really doesn't matter. Because, religion and spiritualism are very connected and very different.
Hmm.
Okay, so this is my belief, this is my understanding, and I'm not saying that I'm very learned or I have a big understanding of things, but I can say something that a lot of understanding of universe has come to me naturally. Right from childhood, I have felt that a lot of things which when I read in books, I can resonate with it, and it came to me naturally. I don't know how and where, it was in my subconscious mind or in my past life, I don't know. So I believe that all religions are actually path to spiritualism. They are
Hmm.
only methods to become spiritual. Okay, now the method can be, if you are not able to connect, you can't have that connection. So the method can be, you put an idol, just like we do in Hinduism and Christianity. You put an idol and you light a lamp and try to connect. You give a figure to that energy, and you try to connect to that energy through that lamp and through that figurine. So you are not actually praying the figurine. You're trying to make that connection through the figurine. When I pick up the landline phone and I want to talk to my mother, the phone doesn't become my mother.
Hmm.
It becomes it, the phone is actually trying to connect me to my mother. It's just a symbol. So it's the
Hmm.
same thing. Like in Islam, we do they pray 5 times, 7 times in a day. So if you continuously repeat something, if you want to connect and you continuously repeat something, then ultimately your connection will become. It is a difficult way, but it will become. Like when we used to study, right? If
Hmm.
something is not coming up, then we used to practice, and then we used to learn. Sometimes there were many students who never understood anything, but they just mugged up. And they
Hmm.
thought that they'll get, now the question in the exam is twisted, they don't know the answer. So what I want to say is, the point is to make that connection. You can make it by repeating the prayers many times a day, but do it by full heart. Or you can put an idol and make the light up a lamp and make that connection. But do not forget that all these methods are to make that connection.
Hmm.
The problem is people are focusing on tradition and on these things, on how to, do the rituals and everything. The whole focus is on those things. In that case, they forget the connection.
Hmm.
In my house, when we do the prayers, like I'm a Hindu, so you can, when you read the book, sometimes you can feel, the Hinduism is focused a lot because I know Hinduism more.
Hmm.
But I believe in all religions. I feel the connection in every religious place. Okay, if I go to a church, I feel the same. I can feel Shiva in a church. I can
Hmm.
feel any God in any spiritual place. If I want peace, I will go and run to any spiritual place. And I've lived in London. There was no temple nearby. I used to go to the church next to me. which was very close by.
Hmm.
So it really doesn't matter. If I have five names and you respect me by one name and you don't respect me by other three names, that doesn't mean that, I'll be very happy about it.
Hmm.
If you respect me, you have to respect all my names. You can't abuse the other name and be very nice by the name Jaya. It doesn't work like that. It's
Hmm.
the same thing.
Right.
So this is exactly what I want to say in this book.
Hmm.
Don't get lost in the method. Don't get lost in abacus. Abacus, regions are abacus. Just a method to teach you add and subtractions. Once you know it, you don't need the abacus. You do it mentally. So once you become spiritual, you don't need to actually sit down in front of anything. You just close your eyes and you're there. You make that connection.
Hmm.
So
Correct.
this is basically what I wanted to teach from this book.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I was able to deliver in the book, but this is the message of the book.
Hmm. I mean, you just explained it very beautifully. And initially, when I was going and reading the book's description, I felt like it might be a different book. Just a normal storybook or just a story about a girl. But when you explained it, the connection with spirituality, I believe this is something I am really looking forward to read. So, Jaya, when imagine that situation in Firozpur, you saw that girl very happy dancing on Bhangra. So, was that enough for you for the character building, for the story building that you have created in your book, or like, what else did you do to, come to that pace and start writing? Because I sometimes a situation is enough, I understand, to motivate us to work, but to continue that work with the consistency we require more efforts. So what did you do on
Correct.
that time? Yeah, I would please explain a little about it.
So you're right. This was only the starting. The character was just the beginning. Now, how
Hmm.
to put that character in a story and try to build up a story which can connect to these things was something I did by writing, but I don't know how I got inspired. Because
Hmm.
once I started writing, it just it was just flowing. So one incident and then incident and the third incident, and I could feel Meher. If you see Meher and you see the character she is, in the first few pages only, I've written that when she used to pray to Allah, okay, she slowly that Allah was no more a God to her. Okay, that Allah became a confidant, and she used to discuss and talk everything with him. And she requested him that either you change my life or you take away this desire that I have inside me, this burning desire, which somehow she had inherited from the parents only. But thankfully, it worked she worked in the positive side of it. The same fire she used in the positive side and transformed her life. So I was also like that. I had a connection very early in life.
Hmm.
And I still remember I studied in a boarding school. And, in winters, uh, I studied in Missouri. So it was very cold. So sometimes some mornings were very nice, very sunny mornings. So in those sunny mornings, we were allowed to go for a walk. So all the class with the class teachers, they used to go for a walk. So first two periods, I think we used to spend going out of the school for a walk. That day, I was in class fourth, and that was my first connection, I would say. So we went for a walk in the morning. The weather was very good, so the headmistress she allowed us to go for a walk. So
Hmm.
on the way, the class teacher told us that today is Mahashivratri, and we have no clue. I was in class fourth, right, 8 year old, and uh, because I was in a boarding school, so I was not like. Anyways, 8, 9 years kids don't go into religion and gods and all those things. They are in their own world.
Hmm.
And in our times, we didn't have YouTube and these all these things. So we asked, "What is Mahashivratri?" And she started explaining, and we were walking. Around 20 students. We were walking, and she was explaining, "Okay, it is this, okay." And then we passed a particular on one side of the road. There was a temple on the right side, and you have to go like 4 or 5 steps down, and then there
Hmm.
was a temple. And I saw a few ladies coming out with this with which you pour the milk and water. What do you
Hmm.
call it? The kalash.
Hmm.
So somehow everybody was walking. I just stepped down before, and I asked the lady there, "Can I pour some water?" She said, "Okay." And she gave me the thing, and I poured the water on shivling, and I just came back. And that day I decided I'll fast. Now I'm in class fourth, right? I've already eaten my breakfast. So the walk was after the breakfast. So I have had a good breakfast. And then I decided I'm going to fast today. And I'm living in a boarding school. So whatever comes in your plate, you have to finish. You cannot leave food in your plate because the teachers are roaming around. You have to finish whatever. So I'm requesting all my friends, please take my food, please take my food. So when the teacher is not looking, I'm just giving my food. And somehow I managed to fast that day, half day. So I didn't have my lunch, I didn't have my dinner. And that day, when in that temple, there was one calendar of Shiva. And when I poured the milk, I looked at that calendar and I captured that picture in my mind. So when that day, when I was in bed, because in boarding school you have to do everything on time. So I was in the bed. You cannot speak to your friends. You have to be like be quiet. So it's a kind of a meditation, and you don't feel sleepy. So when I was in the bed and it was quiet in the dormitory, so I closed my eyes and I remembered that picture. And I think that was the first time I ever meditated, which I didn't know that I was doing meditation. So that was the first step into spiritualism. And over the years, yes, I have fasted. I used to do all these kind of rituals, everything I have done. That's what I'm saying. I've learned addition and subtraction by abacus. But now the abacus is there. Now I don't need abacus all the time. I still do the fasting. I still do whenever I feel disconnected. I still do the rituals because I want to connect. Whenever you forget, you connect. Slowly, over the years, it became stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. So now I can meditate even on you can say in a mall or in any in a restaurant. I can meditate. I can go. I'm talking to you and I can go. So it comes with practice. And the more you get into spiritualism, the more conscious you become. Conscious towards your own bad things, your more own bad habits, your own bad, your evils, basically. Your anger, your jealousy, your uh, all the evils that we have. And slowly you start rubbing it off from your personality because you realize that it's not correct.
Right.
So it all starts with spiritualism. And unfortunately, nowadays we put our kids in coding, we put our kids in football and we karate and all these things, but we do not encourage our kids to become spiritual. It's
Hmm.
very much required in today's world. So many cases of suicide is coming. People, so many divorces are happening. So last in 15, 20 days, the two men, they just committed suicide
Hmm.
because of their wives or whatever. So this spiritualism gives you a kind of a strength even when you are alone,
Hmm.
even when you don't have your parents around, or because there there's a guidance, there's a universal mother and a universal father who's always watching over you. So that confidence is enough to live your life.
Right. So, you explained it so beautifully. I mean, and I think we just can't stop talking about it. Spiritualism is such a beautiful thing. And I find it like very interesting when you get to read about it in a book. So I would request our viewers, whoever is watching this video, please go ahead and please read this book and let us know how do you feel about it. Jaya, I think I really, really am loving this conversation and would love to, continue this until 2, 3 hours. But yeah, we always have a very, short time. And sometimes things are not just, I mean, it's not enough. The
Yes.
more we talk, the more we feel that we need to talk. But yeah, due to time constraints, we need to have some, limits. So, Jaya, would you like to, add anything on your ending note to your readers, or do you have anything to say to them?
All I would like to say is please read the book with an open mind, okay,
Hmm.
and read it with a spiritual mind and not by a religious mind.
Right.
We are all spiritual beings having a human experience.
Hmm.
We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Okay, so that's what I would say. Just read with the open mind, and if it can change the viewpoint and the vision of even one person, I think this writing was worth it.
Hmm. Definitely. So, Jaya, it was very nice talking to you. I think we discussed a lot of things today, and I think as a person, also, you are a very amazing personality. And I think this is something I would always love to have a discussion with you. So, apart from this session, I would like to reach you personally as well if I feel I need some help. So, thank you so much for
Anytime,
being Thank you so much for being
thank
here with
you.
us. It was very lovely talking to you. And to our viewers, we are really, really grateful that you have been watching this video so far. And we will meet you guys very soon with another set of video with another author. Till then, just go and buy this book, read it, and let us know how did you find it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.